All right. So within this Persian Empire, and again, it's quite a long, extensive uh, uh, empire in Persia. But one of the events that took place, which will really have a lot of world historical significance, as we will see, is this thing called the Persian Wars, where Persia here was trying to was attempted to defeat and conquer and take over, expand into however you want to look at Greece and these Greek city states. Um, this is sort of the three phase for about 10 years, 10, 20 years. Persians, they were again the largest empire in the world at the time. They had taken over, spanning from what is the Indus River all the way into Egypt, the Indus to the Nile. So again, if you think back to early civilizations, the three main civilizations, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, and the Indus, were all part of this larger Persian empire, to give a sense of the scale of this thing. And they wanted to conquer and take over these small little collection of city-states here, which we would call Greece. It sort of started here with a revolt. The Ionians revolted against the Persians. They wanted to break off and break away from the Persian Empire. If you remember, the end of the Persian road was right here I think it was actually in Sardis in Ionia. But they wanted to break away. The Persians said, "Hey, we're not going to have this." Darius the First, who we saw in those inscriptions, who talked about how he defeated the whole world. Right? He said, "No, we're not going to. We can't have this this uprising here in Ionia." So he comes over here, and then he starts to slowly expand into these Greece, the Greece peninsula here. So that's kind of the first sort of foray. And actually, in this beginning here, the Athenians actually help the Persians. Say, "Okay, we'll give you a hand. We'll help you put down this revolt, right? If you leave us alone." And the Greeks, that kind of works for a little bit, but then they usher in the second phase of the Persian War, where Darius then wants to attack Athens. It sort of starts moving over here, starts to invade, puts together one of the largest armies known at this time, starts to slowly invade and moves into what is now sort of the Greek world, and sort of the famous battles here. One of the most famous ones is the Battle of Marathon. And that's notable because this is where the Athenians won, and as you can see, it's about 26 miles away from Athens. So this run from Marathon to Athens to announce the Athenian victory is what the modern day marathon is based on. So this sort of second phase, Darius tries to invade but is pushed back, which then ushers in the third phase of the Persian Wars that will end in Persian defeat at this Battle of Thermopylae, which is very famous, and actually even Salamis' naval battle. But that ushers in the third phase, where you have Xerxes. So Darius had died. His successor Xerxes. If you've ever seen the movie 300, this is who this figure is here, Xerxes. And he gets even a larger army, assembles, again, drawing from his entire holdings, his entire Persianate empire, and tries to then defeat the Greeks once and for all. The Battle of Thermopylae was very famous. This is where the Spartans, led by Leonidas, come up in sort of this 300, as the histories tell us, 300 Spartans hold off for about 7 days, hold off the entire advancing Persian army. Persia does ultimately defeat and conquers and captures Athens, but then all of the Greek states come together and defeat the Persians at Salamis and drive the Persians back. And then what comes out of that, and this is why this sort of world historically important, is that this ushers in these sort of the Athenian unity over the Greek city-states with the Delian League, and this ushers in sort of one of the golden age, the high point of Athens, which we'll get into a little bit. We'll come back to as we get into Greek history. But when we talk about Plato or Aristotle or the Greek plays, the height of the Athens world, this is it. This is after the Persian Wars. Athens becomes a major center of the Greek world, though they will fight against and kind of come up against the Spartans, who also want to sort of have a say in sort of the Greek world as well, which we'll get into a little bit later when we get into Greek history. But this is these Persian Wars. One, it sort of shows the extent of the Persian Empire. They were never able to conquer Greece, but then also sparked sort of the Greek city-state unity. That they were able to come together, unite against the Persian invasion.